How'd you guys find the Sway event last week?
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was very interesting. I feel like just getting to know a lot of the entrepreneurs in locally and just seeing how they are and what they're doing, because I follow a lot of like entrepreneurs in the area, but yeah, that was very eye opening. Like a lot of small businesses and what you can do.
Did it inspire you to open your own?
Yeah, I want to start a terrarium business now.
Damn.
Yeah, that terrarium lady was like really cool, eh?
Yeah, she was really cool. It was so good.
Yeah, what's her name? I want to shout her out right now, but I actually don't remember.
Yeah, same here.
I'm sorry. She even liked today's reel as well.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, shout out terrarium.
Shout out Terrarium.
You know who you are.
We'll put it in the description of the video.
We'll put it in the description. 100%. She was lovely.
But yeah, she was so nice. Feel like very interesting business as well.
Exactly.
Does like workshops and all of that.
Yep.
Other interesting ones. Well, it was like there was that catering company that they did like ice cream.
Oh, yeah.
for, like, for weddings and all that. We had a bit of a chat with her.
Exactly.
And
Durian ice cream was really good there. Yeah, you guys didn't try it though, right?
No, I only tried the mango one.
Ah, okay.
It's a very good idea, right? Because like I feel like a lot of ice cream stores, they set up their own shop, but then let's say they don't really get that much business.
Mm-hmm.
But then with this one, it's guaranteed because people book you in, and you don't have to waste you don't have to all this rent as well, like capital.
Yeah.
And it's a very good idea, genius.
Yeah, but they just will have to get bookings.
They do, but it's not I feel like the startup cost isn't as much.
That's true. Less risk.
Yeah. Well, that's what I know.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot more goes into it.
Yeah. No, that was interesting. And
we met some of like your friends as well.
Yeah.
Like Sunny
and
Sunny
Phyto Media.
Yeah.
Yeah, filming company.
Shouts out.
Shout out Phyto
all these
Media.
free shout outs. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh yeah. Did you guys listen to that Avatar song?
Avatar.
Yeah. We did a dance with Phyto Media.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that song has been stuck in my head for the past week.
It's such a good song.
It's a very good song. Yeah.
It is a really good song.
Yeah,
Bruno and Rose, they're just
yeah,
Titanic singers, bro.
So good.
unexpected collab, I'd say.
Exactly. I reckon we could do one better. I reckon we could record it just us three and choreograph. You go to dancing lessons, don't you?
I do.
Yeah, you could choreograph something for us, man. I would love to do a TikTok to that song, eh?
Who wants to be Bruno and who's Rose?
Damn, man. I'll take first dibs on Rose.
If it's, I'll take Bruno then. I'll take Bruno.
What's he gonna do?
He'll be the
backup.
He'll be the guy in the back. Yeah,
the guy
watching us.
The guy in the corner watching us. Yeah.
Didn't you also go to South by Southwest Sydney?
Yeah, I did. South by Southwest. Managed to get some free passes to South by Southwest. You guys didn't sign up on time, like as much as I wanted you guys to come. Anyways, basically like a non-for-profit. I don't remember the name as well. I'm sorry, but got some free passes to South by Southwest, which was an expo. I think it was mainly a music expo. It started off as in like Austin, Texas. So it started off as a music festival, music expo, but then it slowly evolved into like tech, gaming, and all that stuff. And it was pretty interesting. Like met a lot of people, like saw a lot of vendors at the tech expo, like spoke to a few cool startups there. And it's funny because I'm usually on the opposite side. Like when I go do expos for my company, and like, take care of the booth there. I'm usually on the other side, but then over here I'm just
an attendee.
Just attendee, harassing people as well. Yeah, exactly. So that was really good. It was good fun, and met some pretty cool people there.
Were the like talks any good, or was it mostly just the social aspect that you really enjoyed?
The talks were alright. Like I went to one or two. I went to like the Twitch CEO's talk. Right, that was pretty valuable. And also another one that I went to was it was like a mentorship program sort of thing. That was pretty interesting. But I think the connections that you could make there were quite valuable. Like there was a lot of important people there that you could definitely bump into and talk to.
Yeah, wasn't there a talk where there was like a lady telling you how to start your own podcast, like podcast tips?
Yes, I didn't make it to that one.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But like the whole thing with these like expos, I find it's cool to meet vendors and stuff, but a big part of it would be that networking aspect. Like you meet a bunch of people in your field and of the same interest, and like you can just go up to them and say hi, like you're there for a similar reason. And I think that's what I found like most valuable about going to that expo. And but it's a little bit nerve-wracking at first because it does require a bit of what would the word be, like, well, it would be like emotional intelligence or maybe a bit of social intelligence. And which is what we want to probably talk about like for today's episode. And yeah, it'll be around like emotional intelligence and also some of the what did you say, like other subcategories of it?
Yeah, I guess like emotional intelligence, it's something that kind of pops up like here and there, you know, like I know like growing up a lot of people would be like, oh, you know what, like IQ is important, but EQ is really like what kind of gets you ahead in life.
Yeah.
So in my mind, like aspects of emotional intelligence would be like, you know, social intelligence, you know, being able to like work with others well, knowing like just knowing how to, when you need to like step down a little bit, you know, like let others take the wheel, or when you need to step up, that kind of thing. Also being able to manage, like having a good relationship with your emotions.
Yep.
Like being able to manage them without like, you know, being like a child throwing a tantrum or whatever. So maybe emotional maturity is like an aspect of that. Yeah, and maybe also like just self-awareness, I think is a big part of it too.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get my head around this, right? Because I tend to put emotional intelligence and social intelligence in the same bucket. Like I would use the term very loosely and interchangeably. Can you tell me, and for the listeners who don't know, like what the difference is between the two?
Yeah, I guess maybe in my head, social intelligence is purely based on like working with like other people, right?
Yes.
So like if I have an argument with you, if I have like really high social intelligence, I'm able to like navigate that very easily. I'm able to work with my emotions like very well and navigate this issue. But there's other emotional issues in our lives, right, where it doesn't involve other people. So like being able to find meaning, right? If you're like feeling empty inside, you don't know what to do, I feel like someone emotionally intelligent would know how to like manage that, you know. Maybe I just need to go to the gym, or maybe I need better self-talk, that kind of thing. Or, you know, when you like, you're very undisciplined, you don't really like want to go to the gym, you're just kind of stuck in that rut, stuck in a cycle. I feel like emotional intelligence is able to diagnose it yourself. You like kind of talk to yourself in like a very kind way, try to get to the root of it, not just brushing it off as like, I'm just a lazy person and that's that. You really have the ability to like dig in. So I guess in my mind, it's emotional intelligence splits off in two ways: social aspect and like relationship with yourself.
Oh, okay.
That's the definition in my head.
Okay.
I don't have a psychology degree or anything.
Yeah. So I can understand, like, so emotional intelligence, like an aspect of it would be the ability to self-regulate your emotions. So rather than like when you're getting angry, rather than punching a wall, you'd go for a walk or something, or maybe you'd punch a boxing bag instead, or or meditate. That would be like a one sign of high emotional intelligence.
I think so. Yeah.
And is EQ the right abbreviation for it?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, I see.
Because growing up, I didn't really hear too much about emotional intelligence. I only started hearing about when I turned 18 about emotional intelligence, because growing up, everyone just talked about IQ. It's like, oh, what'd you get for what's your IQ? Let's do this IQ test. And I'm not sure if there's an EQ test out there. I don't know how you measure it, but yeah, it's pretty interesting, because I do agree with it. IQ is very important, and just being smart enough, but EQ is probably more important, because you have to know how people feel. But yeah, and IQ can also be a double-edged sword. Like, let's say Sheldon Cooper, for example, at Big Bang Theory.
Perfect example.
Look at him. He has very, very high IQ, but he can barely perform simple day-to-day tasks. Like, I don't even think he doesn't have his license, right? He can't even drive a car.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And he would like make very blatantly like rude comments, but he wouldn't know that he's being rude. And like, just a lot of smart ass remarks, right? And he was like, "What? This is normal." When people were getting pissed off at him.
Yeah, and if you were to compare, like, in young Sheldon, his brother, who's meant to be the dumber sibling, he's like a multi-millionaire, but he's meant to be the dumber one. But then he is
true.
like but then Sheldon with very, very high IQ, and yeah, and pretty much every Asian parent's dream. Gets all the good marks, but then doesn't end up, end up in
That
money
same
aspect.
position.
Yeah, same position.
Exactly. Yeah. Probably
so
not
it's
that
pretty
happy as
interesting.
well. I don't know.
Exactly.
In real life,
he'd
I feel
implode.
like Sheldon Cooper would have no friends.
I don't think he has any friends. Well, he
yeah.
does.
No, he does.
He does. Oh yeah. Sorry,
that's
I'm
the
not
whole
that
show.
well versed. I'm not that well versed in that universe.
Yeah.
But I think like in real life, someone would just implode, bro. Like they're just constantly thinking about a bunch of stuff, and like I don't know, like and all that pressure being put on you, but and you're just constantly overthinking and analyzing. I think my brain will just go, you know. But funny that you say that. I was watching a video about this sort of stuff, and it was mainly one of those motivational videos that you find on YouTube, and they were talking about how like your intelligence can be the cause of your downfall or can hold you back from pursuing greatness in life. And but basically like, what he meant is that your mind can be the biggest enemy, and the reason being is if you are too intelligent, you have the need to constantly overanalyze certain things and maybe certain aspirations that you have in life. You'll carefully try to plan it out first, but then you talk yourself out of it because you don't think that it's possible. It might be something very, very unrealistic, but you don't think it's possible, and your mind basically works against you. But if like comparing like Sheldon's brother, for example, right, he was seen as the stereotypical like, you know, dud and dumb one, but he probably had a dream that he didn't want to let go of, and he didn't let go because he was too like had too low of an IQ to have that internal dialogue to like bring reality in front of himself and be like, oh, you know, I can't do this, I can't make millions. You know, he didn't have that self-doubt because he had like a lower sort of IQ, and that's what kept him going and kept him he kept on chasing that dream, and that kept motivating him. So that's, I might have butchered that explanation there, but in that situation, I think IQ can definitely hold you back a lot, and that's why it's good to have a good balance of both.
Yeah, I agree. I think it kind of goes back to like, you know, when we were talking about gaming and stuff like that as well, right? I feel like, not to generalize, but I feel like a lot of like really nerdy, like very smart people often fall into that trap, like exactly because of that reason.
Yeah.
Because their mind is very good at like rationalizing like reasons not to do it, right? Like they just have like emotionally, the real reason is like fear. It's like they're scared to do it. But then now like their mind is very good at coming up with like reasons why they shouldn't do it, that kind of overshadow what is like the real cause, which is they're just scared, like they don't want to do it, so they kind of just get like paralyzed.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Because that also reminds me, I was listening to a podcast with Vin Jiang, and he did a talk show with, it was in China, and there was, they categorized that as this. So there was one group which is successful people, and then the next day they had another conference with not so successful people, and it was like blank. Like if you if you're not successful versus if you are successful, and they have to split them up. And then he talked to a lot of them, and he just noticed that in terms of IQ, they weren't any different. Both groups were just as smart, or if not the lower status group was smarter, but the higher, the class that made more money, they were just action takers. Like they didn't let anything get in the way. They just keep doing. And yeah, and that takes me to, I've come across this principle called because most people are, and I think I'm guilty of this myself, I think have, do, be versus
Have, do, be.
Yeah, so I have to, what I mean by that is I have to have these things to become this thing. So I have to pretty much, for example, I have to have all the girls to become this like rich millionaire. But if you switch it to be, do, have, you just have to be that person to have those things.
You have to
Do,
be.
like, do you guys?
be
I
that
kind of
person.
butchered that a little bit. But
Do you think it's kind of related to fake it till you make it, or is it
Like
a little bit
manifesting?
kind of,
different?
yeah,
Manifesting?
manifesting. Yeah, you
Manifesting,
have
okay.
to manifest those traits to be able to have these things. Instead
see that.
of you thinking like, oh, once I have this, I'm gonna be able to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that. I think that's also another conversation that we could probably have like later down the track. But the whole idea like manifestation, and there's a bloke called Dr. Joe Dispenza. Like I've read part of his book, and it was about just manifesting those things. But he talked into like quantum world of quantum physics as well. How there's like alternate realities and all that, and you have to really manifest and get into like this mind state of like thinking about a new reality, and you'll basically alter that reality in your timeline sort of thing. And there's a bunch of internal work, and there's a bunch of anecdotes that talk about how this person became this successful, or this person cured some sort of sickness because of this manifestation. Like it sounds a bit like
It's pretty woo-woo.
yeah, but I think it's probably a topic for another day. But that manifesting stuff, like I do believe in it.
Yeah.
So, is it? Can you explain that framework again? So, be, do.
So pretty much, I'm kind of butchering it because I only learned about this recently, but but have, I think most people are have, do, bees. So, or is it? Yeah, have, do, be. So pretty much is I have to have, for example, is I have to, once I have all this money, once I have all the millions of dollars, I'm going to be happy. But yeah, and then but instead you can just be happy now.
Yeah.
And then over time you'll end up manifesting those millions of dollars. Kind of like, that's probably not the best example, but
It makes
it's,
sense. It's
yeah.
like, just be happy now, and then like be very present.
Yeah.
Like you kind of just like, you're happy. You're probably making good friends.
Yeah.
You're probably like networking really well. Just good to be around. You're also like managing your emotions really well, so you're
Yeah.
able to like work more. I think maybe. Yeah, interesting. I guess one question like related to our like main topic is, we talked about like, okay, emotional intelligence. There's like the social aspect, and then there's like the self aspect. Quick question to you guys, a bit personal. Like, do you think you have high EQ or a lot of emotional intelligence?
Or I would say yes and no. I'd like to think I do, but probably
Yes and no.
catch myself sometimes just not being as emotionally intelligent. Maybe socially intelligent, but also the emotional intelligence. I think I've definitely built that. I do introspect a lot, and I think I understand how to regulate my emotions now. Yeah.
I guess like in your mind, like if you painted like a picture of like someone who does have good social intelligence, good emotional intelligence, like, what does that look like?
All right. So if they've maxed out their,
If they've maxed it
they're
out,
maxed
yeah,
out. They've maxed out
all of their
emotional
skill
intelligence.
points, take it out of intelligence, out of strength, put it all on charisma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So first off, like if someone was to say something very, very hurtful to them, it'll basically like deflect off them like they were wearing a emotional bulletproof vest. It would just deflect. It won't affect them. But if there's something that's happened in their life that, like maybe a very tragic moment, like someone just passed away, obviously you will feel those emotions of like sadness, sorrow. But I think the person who's maxed out that emotional intelligence will understand that these things do happen in life, and yes, it's okay to be sad, but don't let it take over your life, because this is the natural thing that happens, and just just moving on with their life and not letting that emotion severely change the trajectory of their life.
Right.
Yeah. And socially as well, I think a lot of people were thinking as well, someone with high social intelligence, like you've probably seen it at parties, a guy who's just talking to everyone, having a laugh. It's like they might not even be drunk as well, none of that liquid courage, just the ability just to talk to so many different people, have interesting conversations with people. Everyone's always happy to see them and love talking to them. That's my idea.
Yeah, like not afraid to like be themselves, not afraid to
Exactly.
like strike up a conversation.
Exactly.
And if someone's a dickhead, it's like they don't take it personally. It's like it's a them thing.
Yes, that's right. But let's also like break that down as well. When you guys are answering, like, do you think you have high like emotional intelligence and high social intelligence as well? Because they are kind of two different things.
Like me personally, I feel like my emotional intelligence it's all right. It's not the best, but I do catch myself, let's say in an interaction, I overthink a lot. Like let's say I do it and then maybe like a few minutes later I'll be like, oh, could I have done that better? Could I have done this? Even though at the end of the day it doesn't really matter. I do catch myself doing that. So I guess to a degree it's good, but not where I want it to be. But it's only good because I reflect on it a lot and then I try to apply my next interaction to be better. I guess it sounds a bit autistic, but it is what it is. But my social intelligence, it's subpar, I'd say. I think could use some work, and yeah, with some work, it can get a lot better. Yeah.
What do you think is bad about your social intelligence?
I think sometimes I can't navigate the conversation that effectively. Like, I guess it really depends. Like sometimes I just run out of things to say, and then it gets a bit awkward. But yeah, that's pretty much
really
it.
good at just keeping it going.
Some people,
right? They just,
yeah.
like, talk, say something. Say something.
Yeah. Probably because I work in sales and everyone's just pretty good at it.
True.
Yeah.
In
And then-
comparing,
in
right?
comparison to me, but yeah.
Yeah, that's
just what I
true.
see, yeah.
That's true. Well, one guy that I think has very high social intelligence would be our colleague James. You know, shout out James. I know he watches this as well.
Does he?
Like, James, MSP James.
Yeah, he listens to every episode.
Well, he's been listening. I don't know if he listens to every episode. I hope he does if he's listening to this. But he's been loving the shorts and everything.
He can send us a Slack if he's listening to this.
Yeah, exactly. But nah, James, man, like I know you haven't been working with him for that long, so you haven't seen him in real life that much. But man, when we went to like sales kickoff, and there's just a bunch of sales people there, and like he's just talking to everyone, man. Biggest smile as well. Just he's the people's person, man. He's the people's champ. So he's just like talking to everyone, doesn't get tired. I think he gets more energetic when he talks to people as well. Like he's really good at that. Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed he's pretty charismatic.
Very
And
charismatic.
he definitely he can control the room very well, for sure.
Maybe like James, if you're listening to this, man, like leave a comment.
How?
How did you get so charismatic? And like give us some tips, man. We want to be the people's champ like you as well. So give the audience some tips, man. And is this something that you were born with, or did you have to go through some sort of charismatic course or something to become the man you were? Anyways.
Yeah, I think for me, definitely like when I was younger, I was very much on that like spectrum of like smart, but then like very low EQ. And I think over time, as I've like gotten older, I've rounded out like way more. Like I'm able to just make conversation more easily, able to manage my emotions more easily. I would say it's not like my strongest point, like social intelligence, emotional intelligence. It's like, I'll have moments of like where it kind of shines through, where I feel like, oh, I can make conversation with anyone. It's like really easy. I feel really confident.
Yeah.
I'm able to. It's just smooth. But then other times, it's like it's really tense. So I feel like still like rounding it out. Yeah.
You know what? I feel very similar to that as well. There are times where I could just like talk your ear off, right? But there are times where I'm like, I just don't want to talk to anyone, and I just find it hard to think of stuff to talk about, and there will just be these awkward silences, and I find it very hard to re-engage in the conversation. But yeah, there have been times where I've just like very, very like talkative, charismatic, and what I'm thinking it is, I'm still trying to discover it myself, but I'm thinking it's just if you're stressed or anxious in that moment, or you're too tense, right? And maybe that day you didn't really get too much productive work done, right, it's just been a pretty like slacker of a day, I find that affects my emotions and my ability to have that social intelligence, right, and be engaged in that conversation. I find, when those days where like, I've done a lot of productive work, I'm relaxed afterwards as well, and maybe I've done my meditation and all that. That's when I feel my social intelligence is at its highest.
Just to quickly jump on that, because I've read a book recently called Our Polyvagal World, and it talks about a part of our nervous system, which is basically the fight or flight versus the rest and digest system. And it basically talks exactly about that, where it's like when you feel like you're in danger, humans were able to feel danger even abstractly. Like if you're in financial danger, you've got a lot of debt or whatever, you go into your like fight or flight mode. And in that mode, your social intelligence is really low. You're like you're really tense. You're really stressed. You're really amped up.
Yep.
And that is not like it's not good for socializing. But when you go into the other mode, the rest and digest mode, in the book they called it the green mode. That's when you're relaxed. Everything flows. You feel confident. It's the social mode.
How do we tap into that? Is there a button? There's no button like that I reach behind here to like press.
Oh,
to turn that on.
Well, now that you mentioned that, there was this one time where, I was like, back in when I was around 19, I wasn't the most social person. I was going to parties, but I was pretty quiet.
You
but
were
then
a chess master.
I was a chess master, yeah. But then you mentioned in our first episode, I read the book How to Win Friends and Influence People, and then I remember listening to it, reading it, and then adapting the principles that I could to just conversations, and it was going very, very well.
Yeah.
And then now I forgot pretty much everything what every chapter is about. But when I feel like whenever I read those books, it gives me something to focus on, and it gives me something to rely on when things get a bit stale and when I can't navigate those conversations. And I've also recently I attended one of Bin Jiang's free masterclass. We're like plugging everything this episode.
Yeah,
but all the plugs. But he had this framework called para. So you would start off with a phrase. So just say, a phrase, and then an anecdote, and then you would recall, and then you would I think you would pretty much ask another question. You would rephrase it back. So an example would be, hey, I can't even think of one. But an example would just be
para,
para. But honestly, I forgot what all their acronyms mean. I just remember the framework para, PARA. So you would just talk about. So for example, I would just say, "Oh, hey, I really like chairs," and I feel like a lot of times when this chair is just this material is just really nice, and every time I sit on it, my butt feels really good. Like, how do you feel about this? You just bounce it back to them. Yeah. I feel like it's something that I've relied on a lot recently, and it's definitely helped a lot. Just having a framework to follow, and
that sounds really silly at first, but then when you think about it, that's a pretty good way to have conversations, right? Like seeing what that other person feels, and it's actually not that bad of quite a question to ask. It sounds like the example you gave at first sounded a bit stupid, but then it actually isn't when I think about it.
Because you can tap into any conversation, right? Like when we talk about emotional intelligence, you can just say, "Oh yeah, I really like." Like if someone was to come in right now, just be like, I'm really interested in emotional intelligence. I feel like sometimes I'm not as emotional intelligent as I feel like. Like, what do you guys feel about that? Or and just bounce it back to us, and then we can and they can just join in on the conversation like that.
Yeah, that's true. I think we're like all get in our heads and worry about talking too much, like talking about ourselves too much. But then that doesn't, like, it talks about something you want to talk about, but also invites the other person to join in on that convo, so they're not just like, so you don't feel or you don't feel afraid that you're just gonna be, like yapping, and then you don't feel you won't be afraid that it'll just be a one-sided conversation where you're just like talking about your life.
Yeah. Well, I'll have a question. How do you feel about, because some people can talk a lot, but they have very low EQs. Like, do you guys have any examples of that? Because I've come across a lot of people that they're confident, they go head on, but they have zero EQ. Like they're not mindful of everybody. Like, do you guys have an example or a story that you want to share about that?
I've had times where people like, they just really want to like talk about something. So it's like, I'm just a wall for them to talk to. Where it's like, they've got these like, I don't know, ideas or like grievances against the world, or like they just want to talk through something. Get something off their chest, I guess. And they just like, boom, like bombard you with like a whole bunch of like just stuff. And it's not a good time. Like,
I've got a good idea. Can I pretend to be you in that situation, and then you? So I'll be the receiver, and then you're gonna be the perpetrator.
We can try. I don't think I have it in me, because I'm like, I think one aspect of me is that I'm a very good like listener. I'm good at asking questions.
Yeah.
But whenever it comes to talking about myself, I
Yeah.
have such a hard time. But I'll give it a try.
Yeah, manifest it, right?
I don't know if I want to, bro. Yeah, bro. So at jiu-jitsu the other day, I was like really trying to like catch a guy in a triangle, and like he just wouldn't give it to me, bro. And I've been watching like all of these instructionals, like watch like some John Danaher instructionals, watch some Lachlan Giles instructionals, and every day I'm just like watching like a little bit. I'll watch like 5 minutes here on like how to do the overhook, and I've been like really good at like getting the overhook. But now I can't like catch the submission. And the other one was like, you get like the underhook instead, and you kind of like climb around the back. And I'll just go there, and then I'll like choke them out from there. And then my coach the other day, he just showed us like another like close guard thing, but that one I didn't really like, because it was it just didn't really fit my game. And then
I've been watching a lot of Lachlan Giles recently.
But like when I was like watching John Danaher, he didn't really like go through that, so I feel like maybe my coach is wrong.
But Lachlan Giles has a really good guard retention. Like, he has really good like guard retention, Lachlan Giles.
Yeah, but like he's like not as good as like John Danaher, because like John Danaher's got like athletes who win ADCC, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, but that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But you know what? That even though that was like you talked over him a lot, I've seen worse. I've seen worse for sure. Yeah.
Damn, no, they did feel a little bit annoying, eh? Like,
yeah. Sorry, bro.
Yeah. I was sort of getting lost in all the steps anyway that you were talking about. Like, these jiu-jitsu concepts are too advanced to me at this stage. I was just like, I was going through one ear, out the other anyway. So I was trying my best to stay engaged in the conversation.
It's very hard to talk to, right?
So very, very hard to talk to. Yeah. Damn. I think I've had like a similar scenario as well. Very, very similar to that, where like I said, I'm not going to name any names, but I had to, ask this person for help for something, but then they would help me out. They would give me the answers that I require, but then they would just keep on talking and going off on a tangent. And it's very similar to that interaction there. I'm trying to butt in to try to put the conversation on hold or end it early or go back on topic, but they have to finish off that sentence before you can butt in. And it is a bit frustrating, and it drags the conversation out a long time. I don't know if it's that they're just really, really into whatever they're talking about, that they just don't hear me, or if it's done on purpose. What do you think?
I think they just don't know. Because some people, they just don't know like when to end the conversation, or that they're going off on a tangent. That's just how they are. I think with people, they've never been checked. Pretty much. No one has told them. Like most people, they're not gonna say to their face, "Hey, bro, you're going on a tangent here."
Yeah.
Like most people won't ever check them, so they'll just keep going until maybe someone does, and then they'll have to actually think about it.
Yeah, I think someone has to tell them very, very seriously, like, hey, you're very annoying. You got to stop doing this. Because if you just go like, hey, man, like, you're going off a tangent here, it kind of just sounds like you're kind of taking the piss out of them or something. But I think having that conversation about it would probably help. Yeah, but
what's an aspect of it that I feel like I'm still trying to learn, but I've gotten better at? It's like the ability to like read the room or like not go too off topic, kind of like staying in that like golden zone. Because a lot of times when you're talking to someone at a party, right, they just want to talk about like whatever's going on here. They want to make some fun small talk.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to go to like, oh yeah, what are your dreams and what are your like all of that, right? So it's too much. There's like there's just a golden spot of like making chit chat. It's like you stay on topic, you add something new.
Yep.
You just keep it rolling, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think one thing that I learned as well when you're talking to someone, like how to master small talk, is basically just asking like small things about them, like, oh, where are you from? And then they'll be like, I don't know, from Paris. It's like, oh, why Paris? And it's like, oh, I don't know, my parents were born there. Oh, okay. And then it just opens up the conversation there. Or maybe maybe their parents were born there. Maybe like, oh yeah, I used to live in Morocco, but then maybe I moved to Paris because of like baguettes and all that. So, and it opens up that conversation. Like it's not like, you know, what's the meaning of life type of question, but it's like pretty simple. That just gets people to open up, and then you just find out more about the person. Yeah. Is that what you were referring to?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a skill like in itself, just like like kind of asking like these like chill questions, not getting too personal, like putting people off kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Do you ever feel like when you're talking to someone new, do you ever feel like you're kind of interrogating them? Like
Yeah. Every time I cold call someone, I feel like I'm interrogating them. I feel like I'm asking too many questions, and they want to get me off the phone ASAP.
So do you guys like? So obviously you're aware when you're in that position, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty aware, and I try to see like how can I make this more pleasant? How can I make this guy actually kind of want to talk to me? But it's pretty hard when you're in the moment, because then you'll just a lot of things will fire in your brain, and you'll probably end up making it worse. So I just keep going with what I currently do, and I'll think about it after.
True. Do you ever catch yourself in that moment?
Yeah. I feel like a lot of times like it's easy to keep asking like questions over and over.
Yeah.
I feel like the other side of it is like being able to just share more about yourself.
Yeah.
That's kind of like a bit of give and take. I feel like is important, but I do often feel like you kind of get stuck in that groove. Like, oh, I don't know what to say. Ask a question.
Ask a question. Yeah, exactly.
Like the para method, it helps heaps with that.
Yeah.
Because you still talk about yourself.
True.
And you bounce it back to them. So it's a lot of give or take.
Yeah, I think that's a good cure for the thought process of trying to balance asking enough questions about the person, but also not being the person who just talks all about themselves and their dogs and their their kid at childcare and all that shit.
Yeah. Let's say if you're a shy person, how would you develop a higher social intelligence?
That's true.
Emotional intelligence.
That is
because a lot of times I feel like a lot of people just think you have it or you don't. But it's actually something that you can work on. Even though some people do have the gift of the gab, and it just comes easy to them. But what advice would you guys give to someone?
I think we all had to like build it at some point, right? We all were not as socially. We were all kind of socially awkward at a stage at our lives. I know I was in my head a lot, and I'll tell you guys how I came out of my shell a bit more. The reason why I was like socially awkward was because I was just overthinking things and thinking about situations that could happen when I'm interacting in a new group, and like, oh, they're going to judge me, or, I don't really have much to say, and just letting all that go. And the worst thing that could come out of it is that maybe they just think you're weird. That's it. And you just like, and it's not that deep at the end of the day, but just relaxing and relaxing and not being in my own head, because I feel like my head was working against me sometimes.
I think one tip for me that really helped well was just being 10% more extroverted. like not setting goals like too high. Like if you're really shy, it's kind of hard to become the life of the party. And if you set that as like the standard for yourself, you're kind of just bound to fail. But if you set like, you know what, I'll just be 10% more extroverted. I would like talk a little bit more, like start conversations like a little bit more. I think that was really good.
Yeah, I think that exposure therapy as well. One thing I added, like just exposing yourself. Same with cold calling, right? Tell my Michael. Sorry, yeah, exposing yourself. Shit, that sounds a bit weird. Exposing yourself, but exposing yourself to those hard situations that you feel socially awkward in. Same like cold calling. Like the first cold call, you might just pick up the phone and be like, "Oh, hey, is this Mister or whatever?" He's like, and they'll ask you one question, you go, and you just fucking hang up the phone, right? And at the second call, maybe you start asking those questions and maybe getting a conversation rolling. By the time you hit like the 40th or 50th, it'll start getting really, really easy. Not really, really easy, but depending on your pace, but it will get a lot easier than that first one. And you're constantly exposing yourself to those situations, forcing yourself to actually talk to people can train you. It's like just gaining EXP, social EXP.
Damn.
Yeah.
Do you remember what it was like for you when you first started like cold calling? Was it really scary?
It was scary.
It was
eh?
bad.
It was
Oh,
scary.
man.
It was scary. Yeah.
I can imagine.
Oh, I think I would think of all excuses just to not make that call. Like, oh, I probably shouldn't call this number. It's the switchboard number. I'm not gonna get through to the to the person if I call the corporate switchboard. Thinking about all this shit, like, oh, it's almost lunchtime. I'll call after lunchtime. Just it was pretty scary to do my first cold call.
Yeah. What's helped me was I still struggle with this today, especially if it's like a big time guy like the CISO or like the CMO or something.
Yeah.
And then, but just thinking like, who cares? They're the same. They're the same as you. Like we're all human, and he probably just took more action than you. That's it. That's why he's there. But yeah, just doing it and just making the call. I still struggle with this to this day. Like sometimes I do get I don't want to press call.
Yeah.
But honestly, it just all depends on my habits. I have to be in a pretty good mindset to actually make the call, because let's say if I do make the call and I really mess that up, I probably wouldn't want to make another call. So I have to be in a pretty decent mindset to be able to make the big calls, if it's a cold call. Yeah.
Have you guys seen that meme where it's like some guy at a party and then he's in the corner and he has that mask on? It's
Love
like,
that meme.
oh, they don't know I do jiu-jitsu, or they don't know I bench 300 kilos.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's pretty funny, but like I've got a funny story. I tend to use that, not that meme specifically, but aspects of it when I cold call. So let's say if I'm nervous, right? Like you said, if it's a high, if it's a person very high up in the organization, like the CEO, CTO, and I'm calling this person, because there's that social aspect discrepancy, right? I'm here and he's there, and I'm trying to challenge the status quo and like put us on a level playing field. I would just be like that guy, like, oh, this guy doesn't know that. At the time when I was like gymming, I was shredded. I'm like, oh, this guy doesn't know I'm a mad cunt. And then why am I scared of him? Or like, I'll start doing combat sports, man. Like,
Good fashion.
yeah, this guy doesn't know that I got elbows. Bang, bang. So it's a same thing. It sounds stupid, right? And like, I sound egotistical thinking that way. But it works, bro. It works. Like,
no,
I'm just like,
work.
This guy, like, if he says this to me, he doesn't know, right, that I can, do like a freaking roundhouse kick that'll snap his ribs, something like that. It's stupid. It's so stupid, and I feel stupid saying this, but it kind of works, bro. Like, yeah. What are your thoughts?
Like, you've given me a pretty similar advice. Like, I would do that as well. It's pretty bad because like sometimes I would call like ladies. I'll be like, and then they'll tell me to go away, and then I might like, I'll choke her out anyway. I'll choke her out anyway. But like, of course, I wouldn't actually do it. But it's
she probably has.
But you could.
Yeah,
and she
probably has a gym membership at Fernwood Fitness and just walks on the treadmill for 2 minutes. No, look at me, bro. I squat like 200 kilos.
Yeah, like I've actually, funny thing, I did. So on my old company, we did an end of year wrap up, and then I did a speech on martial arts, and I actually said that. I presented it to my team, and I'll be like, look, like a pro of doing, of doing martial arts is that, like, let's say if they do tell you to go away, like, just have that in your mind, like you could probably beat them up, you know. And then they actually like they were pretty receptive to it because like in my old company they were pretty chill. Like they're not like Karens and they're like Nazis, so they're very chill about it. They had a good laugh and they're like, you know what, that really does help, man. And then one of them was like, oh, I want to start doing Muay Thai. And then the things that you said to me that day, like, it still stuck with me. I still laugh about it to this day. And I want to start doing Muay Thai and stuff. And I guess it helps. People resonate with it.
And just to put it out there, right? We all three of us practice combat sports very regularly. We won't start any fights on the street, all right? This is just to help us.
Help us with sales.
Help us with sales, all right? If someone was to call me like a shit cunt on the streets, right, I'll just let it go, maybe, depending on the person. But no, like we don't recommend getting into street fights, right? Doesn't matter if you're black belt in jiu-jitsu or you've won 20 pro fights in whatever. It's not worth
never
it.
A good idea.
But this is just a tactic for you guys out there to build that social intelligence. To remove that barrier to get you guys from like leveling up your social skills.
Do you guys feel like being in like sales and making cold calls has helped you, like your social intelligence, like outside of that, just like in more like personal settings?
Yes.
Yeah, it's definitely helped me. It helped me a lot just to how to navigate a situation, because I feel like before I got into sales, I stopped going out to socialize as much as well. So then my social skills did plummet a lot. And then getting back into calling and actually talking to people, it's helped me a lot when it comes to social. And it surprises me because like a lot of times I would go out and I would be talking a lot more than I used to. And I just think like, oh, where'd this come from?
Yeah. For me, it'll be slightly different. I think the way that it has helped me would be to understand like it's helped me understand better on what makes people tick and what is important to people. So building that like business acumen and commercial acumen. So knowing that why this guy in IT is not prioritizing this project that I'm working on with him, and why he's not going to buy this quarter, is mainly because like at first I'm just like, why aren't you buying? Like I just didn't understand. Like, why aren't you buying it, bro? I'm giving you a good price. You're on the market for it. What do you mean you have other projects that's in your priority list? But understanding how a business works is that IT, they rarely have any time to do their own projects. They're usually just facing requests and projects that are handed to them by marketing, by operations, by the CEO, by finance. Like, hey, get this shit done. Then you can look at your IT stuff, cybersecurity stuff. And that like was a really big eye opener to me. My VP actually has told me this, and he's told me this really recently, but I've had other leaders as well sort of sprinkle this knowledge to me. And that has helped me understand like, oh, there are certain things that get people to tick, and I find it very fascinating to learn what gets you to tick. When I'm talking to someone, like, what do you actually care about, and how can I get something out of you, but like, what is important to you, and then that way it allows you to navigate certain things. Like an example, right, that I've seen. I didn't do this personally, but basically I had my partner, her auntie went to go eat at a Chinese restaurant with her friends, and the XO pipi, the dish, the pipi stir fried in XO sauce. Usually it's served with like a crispy vermicelli base. That's fucking delicious, right? But so good. The waiter was like, "Oh, sorry, it's really busy today. It takes a lot of time to make the vermicelli base. We'll just serve it with freaking the Chinese donuts, the Youtiao. Yeah, the Chinese donuts." And then they're like, "What the hell? I don't want that." And then they're like, "Oh yeah, sorry, it's busy." And then I think one of her friends' husbands. Her friend's husband just gave the waiter like a $20 bill. He's like, this is for you. He's like, oh, okay. What about now? Can we get the vermicelli? And he's like, yeah, but it would just be it would be a bit of a wait. Okay, you can get it now. So it's like just what gets people to take in that in like certain situations to like somewhat get what you want, but also find out what's important to the person, right? Because like maybe that person doesn't really care because it's like the chef who's probably giving him a hard time, saying, "Hey man, I don't have time to make this stuff." So then that's what he's being told to do. But then when you give him $20, you can just get him to fight back with the chef and get the vermicelli out for you. So it's really helped me like find more interest into the intricacies on what gets people to tick and what makes you do certain things. Yeah, and how you behave.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Kind of sounds like being able to see things from like the other person's perspective helps you like figure out how to like get to like both of your goals like in a way that like works well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every conversation is mutually like it should be mutually beneficial, right? At some point, if you're having a conversation with a mentor or like a teacher, like you might be paying him and he's giving you information. Maybe in a social setting, like might not be paying you, but then there might be some knowledge that you know that I don't, and then getting ways to help you like trigger that knowledge. And maybe you don't want to share it with me. Maybe it's so valuable. Maybe you do charge other people. But what if I'm able to give you some knowledge that like you value, and then you give me some of that knowledge that you have that I value. So like finding out what it is that you're looking for and what it is that interests you, that helps you like position yourself in that conversation. Yeah,
that's pretty interesting. Just seeing because I never actually thought about it like that. Because I book a lot of meetings and a lot of them would ghost, and then I would just think like, dude, this guy sounds like he was pretty interested, and then why is this guy ghosting now? But yeah, just knowing what they want definitely would help, and just to see, and I can definitely think of ways of how I can try to save that deal, even though it's not actually fully my job to. But it's pretty interesting, very interesting. Definitely something I can take on board.
Yeah, it's not always easy. Like sometimes it's a bit easier. Like that I guess that example in the restaurant was pretty easy example. But yeah, as the stakes get higher, like it is a bit harder. People tend to be a bit more closed off, but it is very fascinating to understand, and very satisfying as well to understand like how this certain person thinks. Yeah.
Especially when like emotions are running high, which I feel like emotional intelligence like this for me is probably the most important thing. It's like when we're trying to like work something out, just say I'm the IT guy. Yeah. And you're like, sorry, what was the example? Are you someone from
I'm a salesperson.
Yeah.
And then I was trying to sell something to the IT person. Well, yeah. First off, maybe you came to me and like, oh, I need this this cybersecurity solution, and then we have a really good conversation. Maybe we even grabbed a beer, and like we went through all the pricing and everything. Oh yeah, sounds good. And then a week later, you start telling me like, oh yeah, it's not really a high priority right now. All that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess in that situation, like, especially like when emotions are high, maybe like you need to make like sales or something that quarter, or like I've offended you in some way, like, oh, I don't have time for this, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Like it's really hard to kind of put those emotions aside and kind of not act like pissed off. Oh yeah. And kind of like really try to understand what's going on like with the other person, and trying to just work towards like that mutual like good outcome. I think in personal life, it's also like really important. Like with friends, sometimes it's a bit cringe to like, especially as a guy, to like talk about your emotions. Like, you did this to me the other day and it fucking pissed me off or whatever, right? Like you don't really want to say that, but if you don't, maybe you'll just like act resentful or whatever. So it's better to, know what's going on inside of you, and then sometimes be able to communicate that.
Yeah. What was it? You bring a pretty good point there, man. Like us as guys, we don't really talk about this, the emotions and stuff as much, and I find that that's why I developed that EQ a little bit later in life, because when we were growing up, I think that the topic of like male depression and all that stuff wasn't really as like well spoken about. It wasn't like front center in media. It's still not really front center in media, but you still
It's growing.
but it's
Yeah.
growing for sure. So yeah, like when it comes to like emotional regulation, like that was one part of EQ, right? Self-regulating your emotions. That was something that I struggled with up until maybe I was like 23, 24. Like when something bad would happen to me, I would dwell on it a lot. A lot of also dwelling in the past, like, oh fuck, I made this mistake and I should have done this better, blah 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 blah. But only when I discovered like that this world of like male self-improvement, being more introspective and just controlling what you can control has helped me like regulate my emotions a lot more and create a lot more empathy for people as well.
100%. Do you feel like you've got a good like a grasp on your emotions?
Somewhat. Probably not as much. It's definitely
You
a
seem
work
like
in
a pretty
progress.
chilled out person to me. Like I feel like I don't know, we talked about this at some point. We were like, in Asian families, it's usually the oldest kid that's like a little bit like emotionally like messed up.
Yeah.
And the younger kids are like pretty stable.
Yeah.
Don't know if that's true.
Nah, he crashes out a lot, bro. You should see him when he crashes out.
Oh yeah, is it bad?
Nah, not really.
He crashes out our cousin a lot, man. Because it lives with us.
Oh,
Not a lot,
nah,
not a
not
lot, not a
really.
lot. But sometimes she says like some stupid stuff, and he's like saying profanities that will get us in a lot of trouble,
my
man.
goodness.
Joking.
Demonetized.
I think I'm alright. I definitely bottle it up a lot, which is not good, but I still in overall I feel like I am pretty chill. I think like a lot of people would assume that I have a lot of demons inside, but I don't.
Why do they assume?
I don't know. I think they just think I'm a bit too chill.
Oh, this
He's
But
hiding something.
But like,
Yeah.
so sometimes I
No one
do
is that chill.
express. Sometimes I do, express myself to like my mates and stuff. But overall, I'm pretty relaxed.
You're pretty relaxed?
Yeah.
Would you ever say like, oh man, I'm feeling really sad today, bro, or something like that, or is that too much?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah, not really.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do, but like,
So the times you
Overall.
do, like what goes on in your head?
maybe someone give me a hard time or something like that. But I don't know. Maybe I am bottling it up a lot, but who knows? I feel fine.
Just go to the
As
gym.
of now, I
All
feel
right,
fine.
how about this? So you were you're an avid chess enthusiast, right?
Yeah.
And back in the days, you took chess very seriously. You went to a lot of chess competitions, and don't want to stereotype there, but I think we can all agree that to get really good at chess, there's a certain personality that you typically have. Maybe the Sheldon Cooper type of people.
Very analytical.
Very analytical, right? You'd see that at chess competition, and that was your that was your life basically, like for a good amount of years, right? You went to a lot of chess competitions,
Yeah.
represented the school. All right, now how were you when you were playing chess, right? Like, let's say you went to a competition and you just lost 3 games in a row, bro. You just got checkmated. The second game you got they got a maiden 3, and
Yeah.
like the guy just did a Fortnite dance on you. How do you feel after the competition? Like, what are your emotions then?
I would feel pretty defeated if I did lose a lot of games that I like. Definitely in a lot of chess matches, I'll be winning and I'll make a mistake which throws me off the whole game.
Yeah.
And then I do dwell on it a bit. Like I do think like, damn, I should have done that. But
Do you
yeah.
like crash out at all? You
Not really. Like I don't like flip
punch
the
them?
board or anything. I just be like, I'm just like, damn. But then it's not like I don't rage. Not
You
at
don't
all.
rage at all. I've never raged after a chess game. Like,
Not
At all.
really. Not really. Nah.
okay, that's good.
Like,
That's good. That's
Like
good regulation.
let's say when I do play games and I lose, like let's Clash Royale for example, I'll just be like, oh, yeah, that's it.
Oh,
leave it
okay,
at that.
okay.
Leave it at that.
Yeah, because the reason why I ask is because there are a lot of like, those Kyles online, like, mom, like give me the fucking Gatorade, and like they'll just crash out and like destroy a wall after they just got headshotted for the 3rd time in a row. Like,
Yeah. I have a mate that's like that. Like he's gone through a few phones because he's threw his
What
phone.
the hell?
He's threw his phone and it broke, his screen broke, and then
Damn.
he would have like a crack on his phone. And I'm like, oh, did you play Clash Royale yesterday? They're like, yeah, I smashed that.
Oh my God.
You've been playing Crash Royale, haven't you?
Wow.
Yeah, and then he's like ultimate, like, yeah. I've had a friend like that, but no, I'm definitely not at that level. But and he's the older sibling, so that could be
Well,
why.
he's the older
Could
sibling.
explain why.
It fits.
Damn.
It fits.
Would you say that's a sign of poor emotional intelligence or poor emotional regulation? Like,
Yeah, I'd say so. I think most people that I do meet that are like that, they have definitely on the lower side of emotional intelligence, and it doesn't matter what I say to them because they won't listen anyways.
yeah.
Oh, that is a sign of like low emotional intelligence, eh? I
Yeah,
feel like you're very stubborn, you're stuck in your ways, you're not willing to let go of your like rigid
Oh,
beliefs.
yeah.
But people who are really emotionally intelligent, they're like, oh, you know what, I hear you out. Maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I think that the like what I've been thinking as well is that I like to like I think back then when I was younger, I think I was a bit scared or hesitant to change, and had slightly more rigid thoughts. But like after like a certain point in my life, like I said, I've become more empathetic, and I try to understand how people think and how they work and all that. And I'm very, very like open to like new suggestions. And if someone was to do something that's like odd to people, like odd, that seems odd, like to other people, I would like take my time to like think like, oh, what's going on in this person's head? Like, there's a reason why they're doing that. But sometimes when I'm doing that, I don't know if I'm just like too dumb to understand how the world works, like, or if I'm just that empathetic, or maybe I have a higher EQ now, like I've trained my EQ to become a lot more flexible with my thinking. So I just don't know if I'm it's very hard to word, but I don't know if I'm just like going with the crowd, or just maybe being easily influenced. If I'm just being easily influenced, or if I actually have an open mind. Does that make sense?
yeah.
Like if someone was like, for example, let's say a house is like a house built by brick, really, really strong, right? And then some guy was like, oh, you know, I've been building my house, like, oh, I've been building my house with, I don't know, man, what's some other thing? Like, I've been building my house with like asbestos, for example. No, maybe that's a bad example, bro. So like, I've been building my house with fucking bamboo, for example, right? Building my house with bamboo as a like foundation, right? Like it's really good. And then I wouldn't judge him right away. I'll just be like, oh, bamboo, fuck, tell me. And then he'll tell me about all this stuff. I'm like, oh, that's really, really interesting. And I wouldn't actually judge him. But I think most people would be like, oh, no, bamboo, what the hell, bro? Brick is brick all the way, man. Like, you're just stupid for even saying bamboo. So I find myself in that situation a lot when people are doing something that aren't the usual norm. Like they're doing a different process. I find that I'm still quite receptive to hearing what that process is, and I don't judge them right away. And yeah, I don't know if I'm just like that's what I'm trying to figure out. Am I just easily influenced, or have I unlocked this EQ that?
No, I think that's having a very open mind, right? Because like you're not trusting them 100%. You're just willing to hear them out, can actually consider it, and then you're going to make your own decision, right? When you build your own house, you're going to think about, okay, this one guy said to build it in bamboo, but I've got all of these other people who've said to build it with brick. So you're still going to make your own decision at some point, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm definitely going to make my own decision at one point. But yeah, I find myself in that situation a lot, like when people are judging others. And yeah.
Me too as well. Like whenever someone tells me something, I hear them out, and I'm influenced very, very easily. Like if someone was to tell me something, I wouldn't take it with a grain of salt. Like sometimes I would just believe them, be like, okay, cool, and then I don't even do research on it. I just take the word for it, which is pretty bad. But it really depends on the person.
Yeah.
Honestly, if it's someone that I really, really trust, that I have like a lot of respect for, then yeah, I'm very, very easily influenced. But of course, if there's someone that I don't even know, then I'll take it with a grain of salt. But yeah.
Do you
So-
trust me? Do you have respect for me?
Yeah, of course. I think I
Okay.
have respect for both of you, and
Alright.
I would. Yeah.
The Earth is flat.
Okay, I've lost all my respect.
Yeah. But yeah, before we got into like what were we talking about? Like EQ, emotional intelligence, and all that.
How do you get more of it?
How do you get more of it? Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys think you can get more of it?
I think so.
I think so,
I
yeah.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely got more of it. Really came to just finding ways to self-regulate, whether like it's going to exercise or doing meditation and all that. That definitely like helps with regulating your emotions rather than building it all up in there.
Like let's say, for example, if someone's like severely like autistic and doesn't, and like Sheldon Cooper, for example, he must have like very high
He's
levels
got
of
problems.
autism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think they can make it better? Do you think they can work on it, or do you think they're just it's a done deal?
I think they
that's-
can work on it.
Yeah.
I think it can definitely be worked on. It can be
Yeah.
like improved.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite people, I know you watch him sometimes as well, is Dr. K.
Yep.
I felt like he's the perfect like Venn diagram of what you should work on if you're looking to like improve your like emotional intelligence. It's like one aspect is more the very scientific clinical psychology perspective, because he's like a psychiatrist even, I think.
Mhm.
So he's like a doctor psychologist.
Yep.
And then the other side is like there's also that more like spiritual side that's been around for like thousands of years, right? People like learning to meditate, people just going on more like spiritual journeys. In my experience, that's been one of the biggest unlocks in the emotional intelligence, self-awareness, emotional regulation area. Because I feel like with the Western perspective, where it's like you address it from the outside, where it's like, okay, you have trouble with this situation, you do more exposure here, or you practice those specific things. But in my experience, they usually all lead to like a more fundamental root cause. And I feel like the spiritual perspective works on that, where you find like inner peace, or you resolve some conflict within yourself, like some trauma you had or something when you were like really young. And then it solves like 10 of your problems at once. So you need to approach it from both perspectives. So I love Dr. K. What about you guys?
I don't know, man. Like I think that's out of my pay grade, bro. Like, because I didn't really understand autism like that well, and there's this like, I know that there's a spectrum to it, and like, I just don't know if like someone with severe autism like can fix that EQ, because from what I know, it's like they have a hard time grasping social situations, social cues. Like I think maybe there are cues to help them to bring them back to that present moment, and certain things that they could look out for to not offend people if they've experienced like negative interaction in the past. Like maybe they've said something at a wrong time, or they say something like inappropriate at that moment. Maybe there are certain cues that I'm thinking like they could look out for, so they don't repeat the same mistake. But I don't know like how that works. Like I think like it's a certain part of the brain that's like underdeveloped, right? Like and I don't know how they'd be able to develop it like physiologically. Like I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah. I think you just have to take a lot of baby steps, because I've heard stories about parents having an autistic kid, and they've just been taking a lot of baby steps. They take it very, very slow with them, and they've just educated themselves on autism in general, and just seeing what works. And they've made a tremendous amount of progress with their kid, just them breaking out of their shell. So it's definitely possible, I'd say, but very, very hard. Like definitely they'll have to take it very, very slow.
Yeah.
And what about advice for maybe people without like clinically diagnosed autism, but maybe they've just got like lower IQ then?
Like let's say a person that's just a bit very shy.
Yeah.
I think just putting yourself out there, and and I guess it's not good, but thinking about your interactions, how you can do better, and just work from there, and just coming up with a game plan, and exposure therapy, pretty much.
Yeah. I think having a goal, like why you want talk to more people? Like, do you want to make more friends? Do you want to recruit people into a pyramid scheme? Like, what do you really want to do? And like working towards that goal and taking those baby steps. Like if it is just like making more friends, find people with similar interests. That'll be easier for you to practice your skills, and like it's a lower entry point. And just mainly be a good listener. Actually, being a good listener is a very important part of like social intelligence. Like maybe you can talk someone's ear off, right? But you have to be present and really care about what they have to talk about.
Yeah. Now I want to bring this up now. So a few episodes ago, Justin, you did talk about cold approaching, and you wanted to. It's something that you wanted to do. I don't know. Have you done it yet?
No.
Okay. So what advice would you? Because you have more experience with cold approaching than I do. Well,
no,
not by much. But
I'm level 1 cold approacher.
But what advice would you give to Justin?
If I was to,
I'll probably need this advice too.
If I was to give you advice on cold approaching, right? Is this like cold approaching as in like in the day as well? No liquid courage or anything?
Yeah, no liquid courage. Liquid courage
At
that's
the grocery
cheating.
store.
That's cheating. Yeah, at the grocery store.
No, you just once you lay your eyes on someone that you want to talk to, you just have to just walk there and just start the conversation, because your mind is going to talk yourself out of it. And if let's say you make eye contact with this girl and you're like, oh, I'm going to go talk to her, and then you're like, just okay, but what should I say? How's my hair look? How's my breath smell? Oh. And you sort of like psych yourself out of it, and like people can like recognize that as well. Us as humans, I think we have a very good ability to feel others' emotions and reciprocate like that emotion as well. So if you're feeling anxious, it'll probably make me feel anxious. I can identify it in your body language. So yeah, like rather than just psyching yourself out, whatever, just like once you lay eyes on the love of your life, potentially, just walk up to the just walk, bro. Let your body move, and then your mind will follow. Yeah.
I think my advice would just be to start small. So start off with just
like only talk to smaller girls.
Talk to children.
Whoa.
No. You can. Because, I mean, if that's what you're after, you can. But
I ain't listening to you, bro.
Oh man.
Just start off with let's say complimenting. Because it's not as much friction to, let's say, complimenting a guy, for example, just be like, oh hey man, you look good today, or whatever it may be. And then, because I would say cold approaching girls, that's like the deep end. That's as hard as it gets. But the easiest, you can put it down to level 1, just be like, or just even as small as, hey bro, your shoelaces untied.
But he doesn't swing that way.
Huh? Well, I guess you have to now, man.
Yeah. Whatever works, eh?
No, I get what you mean. Like, get used to just like giving random compliments to people. I think I've seen that. There's like this Korean bloke on Instagram who does like, I think he wears like those spy glasses, like sunnies and shit, and he just like goes up to random girls and it's like, oh hey, like your dress looks good today, and they starts just having a casual conversation with them. Yeah.
I want to start doing like something like that, like 40 days of rejection. I've spoken about this a lot of times, probably for at least 3 years now, that I wanted to do something like that. Like, those of you who don't know, 40 days of rejection was this guy who just got rejected for 40 days asking for like ridiculous things. An example of one of them would just be like, hey, he went up to the cashier and be like, hey man, can I get a burger refill? And then of course I'm not going to give him a burger refill because those things don't exist. But yeah, just things like that. And at the end of it, he just became a lot more desensitized to rejection, which will help massively. Yeah, since I have because I have a girlfriend, so I can't cold approach girls. So
yeah,
this is the next best thing.
Yeah, good point, boys. Good point.
Yeah, it's on you, man.
It's on me.
It's on you.
I'll see how we go.
I mean, this Saturday. Could be Could be the day you do it.
when we go to Bad Friends, go see Bobby Lee.
Yeah. Cold approach Bobby Lee.
Cold approach Bobby Lee.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Real talk. It's like okay. Let me talk through my thought process
Yep.
because I feel like this is kind of relevant to
Mm-hmm.
like our topic today as well. It's like I don't know. So you just like going throughout your day, and then you just like see someone, then you just do it.
Yeah, you have to have that dog in you.
Have to have that dog in you.
Nah, jokes. Yeah, but like, yeah,
Yeah.
you I think you have to just do it before your mind can talk yourself out of it, because yeah, like I said, our mind is very, very powerful in doing good shit for us, but also in doing us a disservice. Because yeah,
Okay.
it happens in a lot of situations. It's like cold calling. You're like, oh yeah, I'm good. Like I told you, like the first time I decided to cold call, that I had to cold call, I'll just delay it, make a bunch of excuses, and then yeah, like end up having like the worst cold call after like 10 minutes of psyching myself out, because it will play on your emotions as well, and like your ability to conduct yourself later on. Yeah,
True.
that is true.
All right. Well, we'll see how I go. I'm sure you guys will catch up with this again at some point. So,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and if you guys want him to, record it as well, you make sure to drop a comment. We need more. We need more engagement.
Need
man.
more
Help us.
pressure.
Yeah, exactly. So if you think Justin should do it, like, just comment. I don't know. Go Justin.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
invest in one of those spy glasses.
Spy glasses as well.
We'll give
yeah,
it to
yeah. Yeah, exactly. So,
How good.
yeah. But that I don't know. I think we spoke about a lot today. Yeah, just around like social intelligence, emotional intelligence, and like a lot to learn. And hopefully we've helped some people out there, like with developing and training that part of your brain.
Yeah, and even if we didn't help you guys, I hope you guys had a laugh and actually enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, I know. Like we started talking about a lot of random shit, but it is. We try to always like relate back to the topic, but it's just us shooting the shit sometimes, which I hope you guys enjoy. Yeah. Well, that wraps up for today's episode, and make sure, like I said, like leave a comment whether it's like you enjoyed this episode or you want Justin to do the cold approaching. Like leave a comment and make sure to like and subscribe, along with like listening to us, and follow us on YouTube, and our Instagram handles will be in the description below, and our TikTok will be there as well. So thank you everyone, and hope you have a lovely day.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. See you guys next time.